ACO Enneagram! You left many a comment asking for this, so I grabbed my hippogriffs and my Patronus, and we are going to go explore the Enneagram types of the wizarding world. Let's get into it. Oh, hey there. Editing Abby from the future, coming here to tell you that this video is going to be in 2 parts. So if you want to watch the rest of this video, types 4, 5, 6, and 7, that will be up this Thursday. So make sure you're subscribed so that you get notified when part 2 comes up. I grew up waiting outside Barnes & Noble at midnight for the midnight release of the Harry Potter books, just dressed up, just so excited, and we get our hands on the book and just read it for like a week straight and just devour the stories. We have adopted the influence of the Harry Potter world into our pop culture, into our storytelling, and our childhoods. The anti-trans rhetoric of J.K. Rowling is not coming from a place of love, and I do not support that kind of talk on this channel. And though I know it's really hard to separate the creator from the creation, I hope it's okay that we explore these beloved characters and their Enneagram types. We're starting with the Gut Triad, or the Instinctual Center. This is types 1, 8, and 9. These types struggle with anger, desire justice, and they react from their gut instincts. Let's begin with type 1, the moral perfectionist.
What an idiot.
You foul, loathsome, evil little cockroach!
Hermione Jean Granger is an Enneagram 1. She is wise, principled, and has an acute sense of right and wrong. The core desire of an Enneagram 1 is to have integrity and to be good. They achieve this by doing their best to improve themselves and the world around them. From the first ride on the Hogwarts Express, we see Hermione striving towards more. She pursues knowledge voraciously, displaying both intelligence and talent in her classes. She goes above and beyond what is expected of her as she pursues a high standard of excellence. Most type 1s are intense rule followers. This stems from their core fear of being wrong, bad, or corruptible. And Hermione is all about the rules. For example, when Harry and Ron first meet Hermione, she reminds them that they have to get changed into their Hogwarts robes.
I'm going to bed before either of you come up with another clever idea to get us killed. Or worse, expelled.
However, as the story progresses, Hermione matures in the understanding that there are, in fact, worse things than being expelled. She begins to break the rules in order to serve a higher purpose. For example, in the Chamber of Secrets, she decides to break about 50 school rules to make Polyjuice Potion. She says, "I don't want to break rules, you know. I think threatening Muggleborns is far worse than brewing up a difficult potion." Other examples of Hermione breaking the rules in service to the greater good are creating Dumbledore's army, imprisoning Rita Skeeter, and breaking into the Ministry of Magic and Gringotts. As a part of the Gut Triad, Hermione operates from her gut instincts, and she emotionally struggles with anger. For type 1s, this means repressing anger. They think angry people equals mean people, bad people, people who have lost control. Hermione feels anger intensely. She pushes it down and then it seeps out in judgment, criticism, and nagging. That's why she gets so fed up with Professor Trelawney. She can see right through the BS. She holds education in such a high regard that she can't contain her anger at Trelawney's peacocking. Not only is Hermione resentful of people who don't live up to her internal standards, but she also gets really frustrated with herself when she doesn't meet her ideals. If you have a type 1 in your life, you recognize that they have a fierce inner critic who is constantly berating them for not being good enough. When Harry starts beating her in potions, Hermione cannot contain her anger both at him for using the Half-Blood Prince's book and at herself for not being able to compete against Harry using the tools that she has. The other thing that unites those in the Gut Triad is their desire for justice. All I have to say about this is spew. In response to the terrible treatment of house elves she saw at the World Cup, Hermione starts Spew to champion the rights of house elves. She boldly questions their status not only at Hogwarts, but in the greater wizarding world. Though she is ridiculed for Spew, she never stops working towards justice for house elves. One more example of this, which I just cannot help mentioning because it is my absolute favorite. In the book, when Malfoy is making fun of Hagrid for crying about Buckbeak, she slaps him, and you'll know in the movie she actually punches him. She stands up for those who can't stand up for themselves. This display of forceful anger is also out of character for her, and we see that in the way that Ron and Harry are just shocked about how she acted. It's a time when her anger just can't be suppressed anymore. Now let's dive into Enneagram Type 8, the protective challenger.
12 years of it! In Azkaban!
Ones that love us never really leave us.
Get away from my godson.
Sirius Black is an Enneagram 8. Type 8s are not afraid to push boundaries and fight the status quo. Their core fear is being weak and controlled, so when systems prevent them from making their own decisions, they will push back. Sirius comes from a long line of dark witches and wizards who believed in blood purity. He defied his family's wishes by being sorted into Gryffindor instead of Slytherin. He even put permanent sticking charms of Gryffindor banners and pictures of Muggle girls in his room to further defy his parents and their values. If you guys know any Type 8s, you know that they boldly push back against environments and systems that they feel are unjust. Another thing we know about Type 8s is that they can be steamrollers. Now, whether they're plowing a path for others or plowing a path through others is dependent on their level of health. Because of Sirius's upbringing and the trauma that he has gone through in his life, I believe that he is perpetually stuck in an average to very unhealthy Enneagram 8. When he was a student at Hogwarts, he was intelligent, handsome, and popular. And yet, he chose to be a bully. He asserted his power over Severus Snape, sometimes physically bullying him just because he was bored. Also, remember when he goaded Snape into going to the Shrieking Shack, where Lupin was a werewolf? He could have died. And like, that's the kind of stuff that makes me think like, Sirius, you are unhinged. Another example of his unhealthy steamrolling is Creature. Sirius says to Harry, if you want to know what a man's like, take a good look at how he treats his inferiors, not his equals. Look at how Sirius treated Creature. I think that speaks for itself. I also want to take a look at Sirius's incredible inner strength. Type 8s have a confident intensity that allows them to face really hard trials in life. One way we see this in Sirius is the way he survived Azkaban. While he was a prisoner, he held in his mind that he was innocent, and that helped him keep his powers and retain the ability to transform into a dog. Almost everyone who goes to Azkaban for as long as Sirius did goes mad. I mean, look at Bellatrix. So his ability to survive the torture and loneliness for so many years demonstrates a powerful mental control and sense of self. Sirius's core desire as an 8 is to protect himself and his loved ones. This desire fuels his bravery as he fights in both wizarding wars. He would die before betraying his friends, and as a protector, he does his very best to aid Harry as his godfather. Sirius is a flawed guardian, but ultimately he loved and fought for Harry passionately. And last in the Gut Triad, Enneagram 9, the Peacemaker.
I love magic. I'm not weak.
I firmly believe that Harry Potter is a Type 9. I do. I've seen some people online say that they think that he is an 8 because he protects his friends and family so voraciously, but I think that the reason he protects his friends and family is because he desires peace and harmony. He doesn't crave conflict. He is forced into it because of Voldemort. Speaking of conflict, let's talk a little bit about Harry's relationship with conflict. A Type 9's core desire is to have inner stability and peace of mind. A lot of 9s are very conflict avoidant because conflict will interrupt that stability and peace of mind. For example, Harry doesn't want to enter or win the Triwizard Tournament. He has no interest in that. He doesn't want the attention. He just wants to be a normal student. Type 9s repress any bad feelings in order to keep the peace in their inner and outer worlds. That's why a lot of peacemakers struggle with conflict avoidance. Remember how Harry broke up with Cho? He avoided her for like weeks. He took tons of different ways to class because he was avoiding her because he didn't want the conflict of breaking up with her. And if you guys know Enneagram 8s, they see conflict as intimacy, and Harry does not see conflict as intimacy. He sees conflict as a thing to be avoided at all costs. Sometimes Harry's repression of his feelings leads to outbursts of anger, which is something very common with those types in the Gut Triad. A much bigger example of Harry's relationship with conflict is how he handles the Elder Wand. Many powerful wizards have fought and died over the unbeatable wand. But when the Elder Wand becomes Harry's Harry's possession, he doesn't want it. All he has seen this wand do is create death and destruction. In the movie, he breaks the wand in half. In the books, he uses it to fix his own wand, and then he buries the Elder Wand with Dumbledore. To me, this speaks volumes about Harry's inner desire. It isn't power, it isn't control. When he looks in the mirror of Erised, his deepest desire is to be loved and happy with his family. Harry's desire is peace. Another type 9 trait in Harry is his humility. He doesn't like to talk about his achievements, and he has trouble recognizing that his presence matters. Whenever anyone talks about Harry's accomplishments, he diverts attention away from himself, and he insists that his accomplishments are due to help or luck. Harry is also a natural mediator. He has a 9's ability to see both sides of an issue, bridge differences, and bring people together. We see this in the way he diffuses tensions between Ron and Hermione, and how he leads the DA, teaching others with gentleness and understanding. Now I'm gonna do some rapid fire typing of other characters in Harry Potter that I think are in the Gut Triad, but I'm not gonna do all of them because this video will be ridiculously long, so let's go. Professor McGonagall, type 1. Umbridge, type 1, very unhealthy type 1. Ginny Weasley, type 8, and she's an 8 in the books. I don't even know what she is in the movies. Yeah. And everyone's favorite, Lupin, type 9. Now let's talk about the Heart Triad, or the Feeling Center. This is types 2, 3, and 4. These types struggle with shame, desire to have a significant identity, and they operate mostly out of their feelings. So let's start with type 2, the Supportive Advisor.
It's not every day your young man turns 11 now, is it? Dry up, Dursley, you great prune.
There's no Hogwarts without you, Hagrid.
Type 2s approach life with a core desire to be loved, wanted, and appreciated. They are thoughtful, generous people who struggle with people-pleasing and ignoring their own needs. There is no one who embodies the heart of a type 2 more than Hagrid. Hagrid is the first person to nurture Harry. He rescues him from the Dursleys, he makes him a birthday cake, and takes him shopping for school supplies. Throughout the series, Hagrid remains a solid presence in Harry's life. He is always there when Harry needs him, and he enjoys being needed. In fact, when Harry gets busy at Hogwarts and doesn't visit Hagrid at his hut, Hagrid gets passive-aggressive about it. In the Heart Triad, the common desire is to have a significant identity. And for Hagrid, that identity is to be loved and wanted by others. We see this in other instances, like how Hagrid loves talking about Dumbledore's reliance on him. His usefulness to Dumbledore is a source of pride and affection for him. He also pours his selfless heart into caring for creatures like Aragog and Norbert that are typically feared and rejected by others. The core weakness of the helper is pride. This means that type 2s insert themselves into situations believing that they alone know what's best. Nothing illustrates this better than Hagrid's actions with his half-brother Grop. Hagrid refuses to listen to the advice of others about civilizing a giant. Granted, it kind of works, so I guess people should listen to Hagrid more often. Now let's talk about type 3, the successful achiever.
Scared, Potter.
You filthy little mudblood. Wait until my father hears that Dumbledore's got this oaf teaching classes.
Type 3s are motivated by the desire to be admired and successful. They ask the question, am I achieving enough to be loved by others? Draco goes after this desire by pursuing status and accomplishments. From his very first day at Hogwarts, Draco is hyper aware of status. He brags about his pureblood family and his magical abilities. He loves telling all the students how good he is at Quidditch. He also has open disdain for those he considers beneath him. For example, he taunts Ron because of the Weasleys' poverty and blood status.
Red hair and a hand-me-down robe? You must be a Weasley. You'll soon find out that some wizarding families are better than others, Potter. You don't want to go making friends with the wrong sort.
He also pursues achievements throughout the entire series. Whether it's competing on the Slytherin Quidditch team or getting frustrated when he isn't chosen for the Slug Club, Draco places importance on succeeding. Now, I want to note that a lot of his bully behavior is how he was raised. And I know you're going to say, well, Abby, Harry was raised by the Dursleys and they bullied him all the time. Yes, but Harry is a 9 and he is reacting to that bullying the way that 9s do. Draco reacts to his upbringing the way that 3s do. In his family, being a Death Eater is the pinnacle of success. For example, when Voldemort tasks Draco with killing Dumbledore, Draco feels prideful about his appointment.
Trust me, I was chosen.
He believes that he is attaining glory and will be able to redeem his family. But once Draco becomes more involved in Voldemort's world, he realizes that's not actually what his personal version of success is. As the story goes on, Draco shifts from an unhealthy type 3 to a more aligned type 3. He doesn't murder Dumbledore, he can't follow through with it. He doesn't identify Harry to the Death Eaters. I honestly don't think we got enough of Draco in the books to know what his true motivations are, but we do get glimpses of him coming into his identity, coming into his own. And so that's why I think he is a type 3. Okay, Harry Potter lovers, that is the end of part 1 of my Harry Potter series. Make sure that you're subscribed. Come back on Thursday for part 2. You can see Ron and Luna and Dumbledore and Bellatrix and Fred and George. All of those wonderful characters that will be up on Thursday. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.